Last episode, we exposed the loop. School trains you for employment. Employment pays a salary. Salary creates obligations. Obligations lock you in, round and round, 40 years. But a small number of people escape that system entirely. Today, we're showing you exactly how two ordinary people did it. A policeman and a university student. No investors, no connections, no capital. For 12 months, they built a business that made nothing. Not a little. Nothing. $0. Most people would have taken that as proof the idea didn't work. But the decision they made in month 12 turned that failure into a company generating $500,000 per month. And almost nobody talks about what that decision actually was. This episode is for the person who watched episode 1 and episode 2 and quietly realized something uncomfortable. The system we described is the life you're currently living. Salary, bills, rising costs, a financial floor that keeps moving higher every year. If you recognized yourself in that loop, this story matters because it answers the real question. Can someone inside the system actually escape it? Yes, but not the way most people think. When people tell the story of Andreas and Alexander, they usually focus on the success, the $10 million business, the pet product niche, dropshipping. But none of those things explain why they escaped. The real reason happened 12 months in. At the exact moment most people would have stopped. One decision. A decision that separates people who escape the system from people who stay inside it forever. After studying hundreds of wealth-building stories, a pattern becomes obvious. People who escape the salary trap do three things differently. They start before obligations lock them in. They choose ownership instead of income. And most importantly, they stay long enough to find the right system. That third step is where most people fail. Alexander Pekka was a policeman. Stable career, predictable salary. Exactly the employee blueprint we described in episode 2. His partner Andreas was a business student. No wealth, no powerful network, no special advantage. Before dropshipping, they tried multiple online businesses. Cryptocurrency, affiliate marketing, network marketing. Every attempt failed. Sometimes they even lost money. Then in 2018, Alexander discovered dropshipping. They opened a Shopify store and started building. Two ordinary people. No capital advantage. Just one decision. The salary loop could not be the only path. Verdict, not smarter, not luckier, not better connected. Just unwilling to accept that the loop was permanent. But the next part of their story is the moment almost every future entrepreneur disappears. Because this is where reality hits. Hard. Their first product seemed perfect. An automatic toothpaste dispenser. A large American company had sold millions of them on television. The logic was simple. If people bought it on TV, they'd buy it online. So they launched ads. Month 1 loss, month 3 loss, month 6 loss. 12 months later, they still had nothing to show for it. Imagine working on something every single day for a year and seeing almost no results. For most people, that feels like proof the idea failed. But in almost every ownership story, this phase appears. It looks like failure, but it isn't failure. It's the filter. Andreas and Alexander didn't treat those 12 months as proof to quit. They treated them as tuition. Verdict? The 12 months wasn't wasted time. It was the price of entry. Most people aren't willing to pay it. That's exactly why most people never escape. This is episode 3 of a series on how wealth systems actually work. Not motivation, not theory. Real patterns behind real outcomes. Every episode builds directly on the last one. If you want to understand how real wealth systems actually work, subscribe. Because the next episode breaks down the exact model they used and why it works specifically for people who have almost nothing to invest. So what changed after 12 months? It wasn't luck. It wasn't a new product. It definitely wasn't overnight success. It was one strategic decision. After a year of struggling, Andreas and Alexander realized something important. They had been selling products. But successful businesses rarely start with products. They start with audiences. So they made a pivot. Instead of selling random items, they focused on one group, pet owners. Why pet owners? Because pet purchases are emotional. A pet isn't just an animal. It's family. Emotion creates loyalty. Loyalty creates repeat buyers. Repeat buyers create a system. So they launched a new store. Not a product store, an audience store. Everything targeted pet lovers. And that decision changed everything. Within months, revenue began to move. By 2019, the store was generating $500,000 per month. Within 2 years, the business had crossed $10 million in annual sales. That wasn't a 2018 story that faded. Their business is still generating $10 million a year in 2026. The pet industry alone hit $151 billion in spending in 2024, bigger now than when they started. Same two founders, same starting point, one strategic pivot. Audience first, product second. Verdict: the pivot wasn't about finding a better product. It was about finding a loyal audience first. The product served the audience, not the other way around. Now the pattern becomes clear. Thing 1. They started before obligations locked them in. Alexander was still a policeman. Andreas was still a student. Their financial floor hadn't risen too high yet. Risk was still possible. Most people wait until the floor is too high and then wonder why they can't take the leap. Thing 2. They chose ownership over income. Not a side hustle to supplement a salary. A system designed to replace it entirely. That decision changes everything about how you build. Thing 3. They survived the hardest phase. 12 months that looked like failure. Most people quit there, not because they lacked discipline, because they expected income before the system existed. But the sequence is always the same. Build the system first. Income follows. Miss that sequence, and every step becomes harder. Now you understand the pattern, but there's one question left. Why did dropshipping specifically work for them? Why does that model allow people with almost no capital to start building ownership? Almost every other business requires money first. Dropshipping has one unusual mechanic that no other model has. You get paid before you spend. In episode 4, we're breaking down exactly how that mechanic works, and why it's the one mechanic that makes this entire model possible. Episode 4 drops Tuesday.